Shalom. There's a brand new poll about American Jewry, and I wanted to give you some of the highlights of it. The findings are that American Jewry is on the brink, according to the study, of a massive generational shift in identity and practice, according to the Pew Research Center. Young Jews are increasingly likely to say they have no religion, despite the fact that they are Jewish. And saying you have no religion has severe consequences in terms of being correlated to Jewish religious living. Professor Jack Wertheimer of the Jewish Theological Seminary said, "I don't know how to put any positive spin on this study. It's a story of a community that's contracting." Now, it estimates there are 6.7 million American Jews overall, including 1.3 million adults. They point to an American Jewish community that is at once filled with self-pride. In other words, people are saying they feel prideful about being Jewish, but the idea about what it means to be Jewish varies widely. Non-Orthodox birth rates are low. Non-Orthodox Jewish denominations are losing members fast. And I have another video which explains the collapse of the conservative movement, how it's just hemorrhaging, that only 11% of Jews under 30 say they identify as conservative, and that since the year 2000, 71% of non-Orthodox Jews who marry chose to marry non-Jews. And then the statistics show amongst most intermarrieds, there's very little Jewish education or Jewish living going on. 10 years ago, 93% of American Jews told surveyors their religion was Judaism. Today, only 78% of those raised as Jews say that their religion is Judaism. Many say that they have no religion. Now that change mirrors a lot of attitudes of Americans about religion. But Jews who say they have no religion are much more likely to marry non-Jews. The difference is 79% of married Jews of no religion intermarried, and only 36% of married Jews who say that they have a religion of Judaism intermarry. And so what is to be done by this? I cannot tell you how many people, even who belong to synagogues, say to me they have no religion, or they're not religious, they say. Well, they got to stop saying that. If they belong to a synagogue, they attend services ever, they observe any of the Jewish rituals, stop saying you're not religious. Because saying you're not religious leads your children to say they have no religion. Obviously, by the statistics of this poll, it's a very dangerous thing to say you're not religious. Now, you may not be completely observant of Jewish law, but very few Jews are today. But acknowledge the parts that you do and embrace them and say, I do this because of my Jewish religion and my Jewish peoplehood. And convey that message. It seems to me to be an overwhelming statement about that comes out of this study. It's a very dangerous thing to say, I'm not religious. Now, there's a split on what this means about dealing with intermarriage. Wertheimer says it shows that all this outreach towards intermarrieds is pretty much a waste. But Professor Cohn says, just because it's hard to engage most intermarried Jews in Jewish life doesn't mean we shouldn't try. I think the funniest part of this study was that 42%, you'll see why I said it's funny, 42% of those who believe that having a good sense of humor is an essential part of being part of the Jewish community, whereas 73% said remembering the Holocaust. But only 19% said observing Jewish law was essential to being Jewish. And that may help explain part of the deterioration of the conservative movement, since it still claims to be advocating Jewish law, and only 19% of Jews say that that's an important part of being Jewish. And only 14% say eating Jewish food was an essential part of Jewish identity. But that doesn't really talk about the question of whether they're talking about kosher food or not. Now, in terms of other denominations besides conservative, the Reform movement, 29% of people ages 18 to 29 said that they are Reform, whereas only 11% said that they're conservative. Now, the Orthodox retention rate is also not very high, but because only 48% of people raised Orthodox are currently Orthodox, but it seems to be improving among younger people, and they have so many kids that their percentage of the Jewish community will grow to some extent. The fastest growing denominational group in Judaism are those who say they have no denomination. This is also, I think, interesting. So those are some of the results of this brand new study, and very sobering as we try and analyze. Obviously, things are shifting radically. So what do we do about this? Well, I think For example, I'm devoting my personal energy to outreach through online Jewish education. If you're interested, go look at www.isynagogue.blogspot.com. I have programs now to teach people how to convert, even if they're in remote areas. That's www.convertjudaism.org. To be a para-rabbi program, to have B'nai Mitzvah training, even if they're not near a synagogue or don't have the scheduled time to pursue Jewish education. I think that's one of the keys of the future. There are Jews obviously feel pride about being Jewish. They're just not adhering to the traditional theological stances. Most are not interested in Jewish law. But I think also people that embrace any kind of Jewish involvement should stop saying they're not religious. Simply saying they don't observe all the mitzvot. But even one of the great Jewish teachers of the last century, Franz Rosenzweig, when asked if he observed a particular mitzvah, said, not yet. So have an open-minded view. The Reform movement, for example, has always said, educate yourself about the options and then choose. And so Jews, even though many now claim they have no religion, part of the fabric of what it means to be a Jew is what the Reconstructionist movement said all along, are the folkways, traditions, and religious sancta. You can embrace them at that level. So just a few of the ideas, I think, that are outgrowths of this survey, which will need to be studied and reflected upon for a very long time.